So I had a hard time figuring out what to write or speak about today, and I was I was one frustrated just because I wanted to bring something worthy of your time, but also I love Advent, and it's just my most favorite season of the year, and the readings are so powerful, and I wanted to be able to speak to them, and nothing was really coming together quite right. And part of what I just keep mulling over in my mind with these readings and is just everything that's going on in the globe, in the world right now. And I went back and read, the last time I preached on the third Sunday of Advent was Advent of 2020. So in that one, I was speaking about the pandemic. I was down in my basement, right? We were all apart for the first Advent and Christmas ever. I was talking about the pandemic, about Lake Street, about the riots, about George Floyd, and just rethinking about all of that, and then thinking right now of what we face and still navigating through so much darkness, and my heart really feeling so struggling so much and praying so much, as I'm sure many of you are, for the people of Israel and Palestine and Russia and Ukraine. And one of the other pieces that always hits me real hard, I had been working at the hospital for a number of years, and a lot of the folks I work with are from Ethiopia. And it was because of them that I understood that they've had many, many wars and have been at war for the last 3 years, and that many people in Ethiopia remain in really dire situations. And so my heart going out to them, and also thinking, wow, like here's a war we don't hear about, right? Because we don't see the political value of that country or the wealth that comes from there, or because they are people with dark skin, and so their wars are less on the news, and just all those things. And so anyway, welcome to my depressive dump. I don't know if you guys are in a similar place, but so what I usually do, I should pray, right, when I get stuck in these places, but usually I Google things and goof off online. And so I was doing that, and I came across this story of this small village that is about 30 miles north of the Gaza Strip. It goes by two names, Eve Shalom and Wahat Salam. And in Hebrew and Arabic, that means the oasis of peace. And this small village has existed for the last 5 decades, and it is comprised of 40 Palestinian Israeli families and 40 Jewish families. And it totals about 350 people altogether. And in that small village, all the kids go to dual language school in Arabic and Hebrew, and this community seeks to live together in peace. And this article was talking with some of the folks from this village in light of everything that is going on there. And they talked about how imperfect their peace is, the challenges that they face, and yet the fact that they keep trying to do this, they keep trying to live together, and for 50 years they have. There's a number of critiques about this community. It tends to be upper class people that have been able to live here, and people that maybe are left-leaning politically in general, and so a little different than just the broad population. And also the fact that these communities have been tried elsewhere in Israel and they have not worked. And so there's this one community that seems to be thriving in this way. And the director of the school, in response to those critiques, said, "The objective of our village is to exist." And I was so struck by that line, that just to exist. And the fact that they are existing speaks so much, because it does speak to a different way of existing, a way where people can live together, can argue, can struggle, can fight, and yet still choose peace in that and seek to live a peaceful life together. And I thought about our own faith stories that we tell as Christians and the very similar stories that our Jewish and our Muslim brothers and sisters speak as well. And that we speak these stories, like we heard in Isaiah today, of this promise of a God who is going to come to us, a God that is going to come to heal the brokenhearted and set the captives free. And that we live by these stories and we speak them over and over and over again. And many people have, and rightly so, look at us and look at the stories we tell and say, for what purpose, right? Because the world is still filled with brokenheartedness, and there are still many, many people held in captivity. And I think we can learn a lot from that village and what that school director said, that the objective is to exist, to keep telling those stories and letting those stories transform ourselves and transform how we interact with one another. Because that's how we continue to live our lives like John the Baptist. We continue to listen to that prophetic call that has been given to all of us. We were all baptized priest, prophet, and king. And as part of that, we are called to tell these stories, to assert that there is a God that is coming to us. And that our job, our role in that is to keep that path straight for God, to keep that path there, to prepare that path, both so that we can connect to God and experience that peace and love and light of God, but also so that other people can also see that light through us, through our commitment to live as people of peace and of kindness and of justice. It truly is that our purpose is to exist. The fact that we are humans, loved children of God, this is our purpose. And everything else is a distraction. Because existing and continuing to show up to praise God and hold out as a beacon of light, proclaiming that there is a different way, is truly what we're called to do. And there are so many ways that our personal existence can be part of that light. Each and every one of us comes here in this space and out in our world with gifts. Some of us are hopeful, outreaching people. Some are prayerful people. Some are people that do constant service in their community. There's so many ways that we give and live in this world. And all of those ways, those are ways that we can keep making that path straight and keep making the ways for God to show up in this world. And as we enter this last week of Advent, I imagine we come from so many different places emotionally and spiritually. Some of you, I am sure, are filled with joy and anticipation. Others, perhaps, with sadness and brokenheartedness, or even dread. And all of that is okay, because what matters is that we show up. We show up here in this space, we show up in our broader world, we exist, and we keep saying in our own imperfect and messy ways that there is a different way possible. Because every time we do that, every time we speak words of peace and healing into this world, we show that way to someone else, and God's path becomes a little clearer. And slowly together, as a community, we find our way to God's promises, where we will be healed, where God's light will break through, and peace will come. And so this Advent season, this final week, and every day as we look out into the new year, let us commit ourselves to the beautiful fact that we exist and our existence can do so much. Let us continue to tell the stories and hold tight to the promise of God's hope. Because in doing so, we can make that path straight for God's love to heal us all.